Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to the Mystical Realms podcast with me, Laura Dallaghan. I hope you are having a wonderful, deep and powerful Samhain season. And I had an absolutely gorgeous time on Samhain itself because, I was happily working all day. There's lots of readings to do, and tarot readings are really popular at this time of year, as it is the Celtic New Year and it's a time of deep transformation. And also then in the evening, I went to the Chalice Well in Glastonbury. If you haven't seen the Chalice Well, there are some pictures and videos on my YouTube channel you can have a look at. And it was open at night, which is very rare for the Chalice Well to be open at night. It's a beautiful garden, and the well itself runs little streams down into waterfalls through the gardens, and it's absolutely magical. Any day of the week, it's absolutely magical. However, on this Samhain night, it was really dark and the whole place was candlelit. There's a lovely fountain at one bit, and it's all red because the waters of Chalice Well are really iron rich and they turn everything red. But this lovely waterfall surrounded by these yew trees was all illuminated with candlelight. There was just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these candles, and there was a lovely little tent next to the waterfall, and in that tent there was a lady, and she was playing the harp. So it truly felt like I was in Lord of the Rings. I think it's the closest I've been to feeling like I was in Lord of the Rings, if Lord of the Rings was filled with people from Glastonbury. But it was absolutely magical, completely enchanting. It was the whole area, the whole garden was all lit up, and there was different music areas. So there was different harpists playing in different parts. There was a fire going at the bottom and food and drink. And it was such a lovely community celebration. And it was really peaceful. I found the whole experience utterly peaceful. And sometimes Samhain doesn't feel peaceful. But this actual night did feel really flowing and gorgeous. I think being with the water and being in that in-between place with the candles and the harps and sitting by the wellhead itself, which is all beautifully dressed up with pumpkins and all of the sort of the leaves and flowers and fruits of the year. It just all looked absolutely stunning. So that was my lovely Samhain, and I really enjoyed it. It's been I think it built up in huge intensity in the week before, and then it just seemed to mellow as we got to Samhain itself. But I do hope that whatever you've been doing, you've had a fabulous time as well, and that you've been really enjoying the season. In this podcast, I was inspired to talk about power animals and connecting with your animal spirit guardian for a couple of reasons. I did a lovely retreat. I was working a couple of weeks ago where I was doing many focused one-on-one sessions and workshops about power animals and connecting with your power animals and healing with your power animals. And it's been a massive and hugely important part of my life for the last decade in an official term, but also for the whole of my life. Connecting with animals has always been one of the most important things in my world. And then I noticed on the weekend here in the UK, His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman has been televised by the BBC, and they've so far done a fabulous job of, the effects of creating the animals. And in this story, the characters in this alternative dimension all have, they call them daemons or demons, and they are power animals. They are animals connected to the person's soul. And they are visible. They are as real and touchable and visible as the animals that we have in our world. And they say, they talk about in this program about this soulful bond, this soulful connection to the daemon, to the power animals and to the totems. Now, it's quite an old book, and there's been a film already out about it with Nicole Kidman in The Golden Compass a few years ago. So most of you are probably aware of this film and of the concept of the daemon. But this is something that's not reserved to films or fantasy. Totem animals and power animals and animals you share a soul bond and soul connection with are really, really real. They have been with us since the beginning of humanity, and I hope they'll be with us until the end. Connecting with a power animal can be a huge healing and revelationary experience. When I first started connecting with my power animals, it was just absolutely magical. I was so relieved in a way, and I felt so supported and empowered by the animal spirits around me. Animal spirits have been recorded and written about in folklore, in stories, in religious texts, and in tribal folklore for thousands and thousands of years. There were some tribes that would have believed that if a child was born without a totem animal, without a power animal, then they would not have survived into adulthood. Now, I can't quite remember, I have written this down somewhere, which tribe that is. I will try and find that out, and I'll add the facts to my notes. But I remember reading this several times, that it was thought that if a child was born without a power animal, it would be weak and would have not the best chance of surviving to adulthood. So the energy of the power animal and the totem animal is absolutely vital, a vital essence for people, or it has been. And then, as in all things, our culture moved away from the natural world, moved away from the connection and the respect that our ancestors had for the wild. We started to think of ourselves as better than. And if you think you're better than something, you're probably not going to take its advice or go to it for healing or find out about the wonder of its own world and its own nature. So for me, and for lots of the world, I think it's a terrible tragedy that we no longer, well, we do, I'm sure hopefully you do, who are listening to this, but for a long time we have believed that we were in control of the world, on top of everything, top of the pile, and knew everything, and everything below us was below us, beneath us. And that truly isn't the case. As I say many times in many of my workshops and videos, we are kind of the last one that came to the party at planet Earth. Animals and trees and nature and beauty and wildness and harshness of all of these things have existed way before we got here. And so we, as our ancestors would have seen, they absolutely revered the animals. They watched them. They found out how to hunt, where to hunt from watching their animal friends. Of course, our ancestors ate and used the skins of the animals, but they didn't do so willy-nilly. They didn't do so disrespectfully. They didn't mass kill the animals in a abattoir and throw away half of the meat. They, on a whole, there are exceptions, but as a whole, our ancestors would have taken what they needed and no more. And they would have given prayers and respect to the spirit of the animal that they had slaughtered and eaten. And they did not, for 1 second, think of themselves as spiritually above anything else. I mean, this is a great generalization, but it seems to be the way that cultures worked. There was a healthy respect, love, and sense of kinship with the animal realm. They weren't seen as different, really. They were more like our brothers and sisters. And they had all their different gifts and all their different abilities and medicines, as we call it. And you can see that in many creation myths and in many tales of how the world came to be, it is about the animals where the stories reside. It's the animals that tell the tales. You've got Coyote, the trickster, or Fox, who sings the world into being. There are so many tales where it is about the animals and their creative force. And this shows us that they are respected and thought of as wonderful beings who can help us and guide us and who create great creators. So I think to go into a whole lecture about how people have seen animals in the past is a different podcast or a different video. I do talk about this quite a lot in my Totems Awakening course, and I talk about it in some of my videos on YouTube as well. But what I want to talk about today is about how this idea of connecting with a power animal, connecting with a totem guide, is something that you can use and work with and gain healing, insights and connection with in your day-to-day life. So this is not some abstract spiritual concept. This is something that is very real, very ancient and very practical, actually. To be reconnected with your power animal is very heartwarming, and it is like, and exactly like, finding an old friend, finding a deep companion who accepts you fully for who you are. So this is not just a spiritual tool where people a lot, know about power animals, they've heard of power animals, but this isn't something you can kind of talk about in a workshop and then off you go and not connect with them again. This can be a lifelong relationship, and you can create an empowering and rewarding relationship with our power animals. So the idea that animals have power does come from what is known as shamanism. And shamanism is the name that we have given to basically the oldest spiritual path in the world. And evidence of shamanic practice has been discovered in all the cultures across the globe. So shamans believe that everything has a spirit and power, including trees and stones, and of course the animals. And the most important ally for a shaman or a shaman is their power animal. They can't do their work without their totem guides. They cannot traverse the worlds in journeys and meditations and healings without the help and strength and power of their totem spirits. So shamanism really is a path of nature connection. It is a path of seeing the divine in everything and seeing the medicine in everything, and that all of nature is alive and connected, and seeing that web of life and knowing or learning how to work with that web, knowing and learning how to go in to the other worlds, to the other realms, and find answers and find healing and to journey for wisdom. Again, this is another talk. We'll stay on target as much as possible to talk about power animals and the rewarding relationships we can have with our own power animal. Hopefully, because listening to this, you already have an interest in power animals. And if you do, then I'm pretty certain that you will already have an animal guide or two around you, perhaps peeking over your shoulder as you listen to this podcast, waiting for you to see them and to start connecting with them in your life. These power animals are most likely jumping, splashing, flapping, purring, delete as applicable, with anticipation in the hope that you'll finally start paying them some proper attention. So, where would we start to discover our power animal? Well, I suppose the best thing is to start at the beginning with the question, what is a power animal? A power animal is a guardian spirit, protecting and helping us so that we may gain physical, mental and spiritual strength. When I speak of power, I don't mean using power in a negative sense. It's not about gaining order or control over others. I mean tapping into our own deep wisdom, our own reserves of power, reclaiming the power that dwells within us, enabling us to find our inner strength and our deep and true sense of self, so that we may live fuller, more joyful lives, being grounded and connected to the world around us. So I think being in your power is often thought of as a negative thing. When we say power, it feels overwhelming or bullying in some way. But this really is a perversion of what we're talking about, because understanding your own power, really living and breathing in your own power, means your life is fulfilled. Your life is healthy and vital, and therefore you're positively affecting those around you as well as your own journey. Being in your power helps to be in alignment with your day-to-day life. So by connecting with our power animal, we are able to experience more deeply the interconnectedness of all life, allowing us to live in the moment and be in life's creative flow. It can also bring us great adventures. When we journey and work with our power animal, we see, experience and feel things that possibly we'd never even dreamed of experiencing or seeing before. They can open our minds and our hearts to new worlds, new ideas and potential that was previously unknown or untapped. As a species, we have pretty much extricated ourselves from the animal kingdom and the natural world. And this is obviously not healthy for us or for the animal kingdom, as we can see, by looking at the state of the planet and looking at what we're doing to the animals and the trees and the nature of the world. It's heartbreaking. The destruction of the forests and the wild places. With this, we not only lose the animals' natural habitat, but we also lose the sense of wilderness, and connectedness within ourselves. So nothing that can happen nothing that can happen in the world around can happen without it happening within. So when the forests get destroyed, something in us goes. It really is all connected. But that also means that when we start healing the world, when we start growing the good things in our lives, when we start taking positive action and protecting the animals and the plants and the trees and giving back, when we do that and it affects the outside world, of course, it will also positively affect us as well. So now I've had a little look at some of the benefits of meeting your power animal guide, which I hope you'll find it will be more experiential. You'll understand more why it's going to be great for you when you experience it. But I guess what you need to know is the big question: how do you experience it? How do you meet your power animal? Well, there are many ways of experiencing your power animal. You may simply see the word penguin everywhere you go, or be continually drawn to wearing tiger print clothing. Below are some of the more important techniques I've found to be effective. So we're going to talk about some of the ideas that are effective to connect with your power animal. Now, the most powerful way is to do this in a shamanic journey, or to have a shaman do this for you, with you, or to really get to a stage where you are journeying to the lower world, which is the place where power animals reside, in shamanic journeys, to a degree where you can connect with them. It can often be a really powerful thing to have a shaman reconnect you to your power animal, because they can find that energy for you and bring some of it back for you as well. And that's one of my favourite things to do for people as well. I absolutely enjoy, I totally adore and enjoy that energy most of all, where you can reunite energetically a human and their totem. But in the meantime, there's plenty of ways that you can work out who your animal guides are, who the messengers are that come into your life. And these are listed here. So first of all, we have pathworking and meditation. So using guided visualizations and meditation is a great way to get started on your power animal path. Begin by finding some time to relax. So get yourself in a nice space, put your phone on the old flight mode or switch it off. As much as possible, make sure you're going to be relaxed. That was very relaxed, wasn't it? Relaxed and undisturbed. Close your eyes and breathe in and out slowly and deeply. So get yourself into a really good meditation space. Do what you do to find peace in your day-to-day life. And you can go on a meditation. I won't do it here, the meditation. I may put the meditation up another week, or maybe my video channel, if you would like to hear it and experience it. But basically the meditation is to journey to a place in nature in your mind, and sit yourself down in that place and allow nature to communicate with you. Allow the animals to step forward and allow the animals to come through, or an animal to come through. You may be someone that sees things really clearly. I'm someone that really does sort of see more when we do meditations and journeys, but you could be someone that hears things more. You may just hear there's an animal rustling around. You may hear words, you may see colours, you may get the sensation or the smell or the feeling that something's there. I often say see when I talk about this kind of things, but it isn't always about seeing. So enjoy a meditation. If you would like me to put one up on the channel, just let me know, where you can go and connect. Enjoy going to a space in nature and allow the animals to come forward. So you visualize this, you get yourself into a relaxed space, an open space, and you visualize the animals coming through to you and bringing their messages and their wisdom. This can happen the first time, or it can take practice. Everyone's experience with this is completely personal and completely right for what's going on with them. You may be someone who finds it super easy to visualize, or it may take you longer and need more practice. There is no wrong. And whatever journey you're on, it's right for you. And no one's perfect at this the first time they do it. So please, please be gentle and patient with yourself as you go forward, to connect. And it's good, before you go into your meditation, state your intention to meet your power animal, either out loud or silently, and just allow them to come through if you can. Again, I will do this more structured for you in a further podcast if you would like. And so when you've done this, when you've been through your meditation, maybe you've had a connection, you come back, you bring yourself back, you shift your focus to where you are now, you wriggle your fingers and your feet, you get really present and you open your eyes. And it's always good to eat and drink something after meditation because it brings you back here and brings you back to this moment. Another way of finding out which animals are trying to connect with you and trying to come through for you is through dream work. So when we sleep, our conscious mind loses the tight control it's had over us in our waking hours. When we dream, we enter another state of being and are more open and aware to the messages from our power animals. So by keeping a dream diary close to our bed, we can, before we sleep or before we nap, state our intention to meet power animals or state our intention to connect with animal spirits. And when we wake up, whether that be in the middle of the night or when we wake up in the morning or after the nap, just really write down any insights of the dreams that you could have inside your diary. Now, please do this immediately as you wake up, no matter how groggy or unawake you feel, because the more you wake up, if you check your phone or start talking to someone, it's like the doors of dream close, and it's so hard to access what lies behind them when the doors of dream have closed. So get into the habit, if you can, of the minute you wake up, just write your impressions down of a dream. And when animals want to come through and give you messages, they do in dreams. They prowl through the unconscious. They glide through the night sky and swim in the deep of our own dreaming. And if we can really hone our skills and learn to remember some of our dreams, they can give us amazing messages. And we can have wonderful connections with power animals and totems in our dream life as well. But it all starts with just giving it a go. So get yourself a dream diary, put it by your bed, and whatever time you wake up, just scribble down the first things you remember and do this daily. And if you want to, set your intention to meet your power animal in your dreams, write it all down and just see what comes through. Dream work is a lifelong, awesome guide to the unconscious, guide to the worlds that we kind of shut ourselves off to when we're trying to be awake and get things done. But our ancestors have taken dreams and their meanings for being very, very important indeed. And the dreams of the shaman or the healer or the priestess would have been taken very seriously, and they would often foretell things that were going to happen to the group, the tribe, the village, or the family. So, dreaming aside, a great way, and one of my favourite ways to connect with my power animal is through a shamanic drum journey. A drum journey is a powerful way for us to not only meet our animal guides, but to deepen our relationship with them. Through a fast and repetitive drum beat, we enter a shamanic state of consciousness and journey to meet our power animals. If possible, find a drumming group or a shamanic workshop to learn how to journey properly and safely. So drumming is amazing. I have got some drum journeys on my YouTube channel, and I will always put some more up. But I often use the drum as my primary friend and tool and guide because of how effectively it works, how it shifts our brain patterns when we drum at a certain speed and allows us to journey a lot more easily and a lot more powerfully than if we just meditate. It's a different kind of beast, A journey is a very active thing when you're propelled on this quest, really, where meditation can be, not always, but can be more of a gentle and relaxed space. But it is always good to have someone drum for you, especially if you're just starting out. You can actually get MP3s of shamanic drum journeys. They can be really useful, and there's some great books out there as well. But if you can, join a group of people drumming, because it's a great experience to learn the different beats and to meet others and to drum in unison with a group. Or there are plenty of workshops out there where you can learn the techniques of shamanic journeying in a really safe and positive environment. So the drum is one of my favourite tools and ways of connecting with the animals and with the guides. And I think for a lot of people working in this way, it is their blessed and sacred instrument to guiding them between the worlds. And I obviously, if you don't know, I do paint drums. So one of my favourite things to do is to paint people's shamanic drums, to paint their totems and their power animals, and to express the energy of their spirit animals on their sacred drum. So that's one of my really blessed and awesome and lovely things that I do in this life that makes me very, very happy to share with other people. You can actually have a little look at my shamanic drums on all the W's, LauraDalligan-art.com. Anyway, back to the ideas. These are just a few of the ideas to start out with, really, to see what feels right and what works for you personally. And always remember, whatever you do with these techniques, write them down, write the results down, take your journal with you and just note down everything you discover. So they're just some simple ways of starting, and hopefully, just by being aware of totem animals, you can call them into your life. So by asking, we'll talk next time about the different kind of totem guides you can have, but just by being aware that you can receive messages from the animals, it makes it really easy for the animal guides to bring messages through. And it isn't always with animals that appear on our doorstep. It can be with animals we see in documentaries a lot, animals we feel drawn to when we're reading books, magazines, and also sometimes these days it happens quite a lot that a lorry or a van will drive past with a picture of the animal or the word of it on the animal on its side, and it will just drive past and you'll know that message is meant for you. So there's lots of different ways you can receive messages from your totem animals. So I really hope you enjoy starting some of these ideas in ways of connecting with power animals. They are amazing guides, and they are ones that are here to help us. And unfortunately, a lot of the animals that we find that we connect with when we're working with power animals are endangered. And usually the reason is because of humanity, because of taking their land, basically, a lot of the time. So when we find an animal connection that we really love working with, the best way of honouring your totem animal is to give back, is to find a way to support these animals in nature. It doesn't have to be giving money, though giving money is always a great and probably very appreciated thing. It can be by bringing awareness to a situation. It can be by helping a charity or an organisation and volunteering to support these animals. It can be by creating something of an artistic nature to depict these animals and the lovely energy about them. As humans, we have taken a lot from the world, and we continue to do so. And so through connecting with your power animal, know it's a two-way relationship, and it will grow more and more if we give back to them as well and support them, because the animals all over the world need our help and need our support and need us to wake up to what's going on, and that we need to change our ways. As your relationship grows with your power animal, you will begin to learn more about their wisdom and habits. You'll find out about why they're coming to you. Perhaps, you may find yourself becoming more nocturnal like an owl, or basking in the sun like a lion. You may even find you take on some of the traits of your animal, becoming as busy as a bee or as playful as an otter. If possible, seek out your animal in nature. But if it isn't possible, you can visit a wildlife park or even spend an evening watching nature documentaries. So there's a lot of wildlife parks out there that are supporting conservation in the world, and that can be a really great cause to support as well. Because as we mentioned, the sad fact that a lot of these animals will be critically endangered species, and they desperately do need a whole heap of human help and compassion. So I hope you enjoy learning about your power animals, and I wish you and the animals many happy adventures together. Don't put any pressure on yourself straight away to find your life path soul power animal. Just allow the animals that are coming through to you to speak, to share time with you, and to connect with you. As your journey grows, it'll become more obvious, or you'll do more work to find out which is your very own personal life path power animal. But we have more than one animal that'll be with us throughout our lives. and some messengers that come through for just brief amounts of time. So just be aware and awake to the animal guides and the animal spirits that wish to connect with us, that wish to share their wisdom with us so that we may live more powerfully, more effectively, and more compassionately in the world, a world that we all have to share. I hope you really enjoyed today's podcast, and let me know how your adventures go if you do connect more with your totem animals and with your power animals. You can find out more about power animals by my website, all the W's, LauraDalligan.com, and I also offer sessions in reconnecting you with your power animals as well, and shamanic healing with your animal guides. So more of that on my website. And also you can look at my animal art on all the W's, LauraDalligan-art.com. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I hope you truly enjoy just noticing the animals in the world around you that little bit more. Take care, and I'll see you next time for the Mystical Realms podcast. Bye!